She met him in Dubai, under gold chandeliers and stares of envy. The room smelled of jasmine, oud, and money. His name was Amir al-Mansur, heir to an oil dynasty. He smiled like he knew secrets she would never ask about. Lena wore red silk in silence, both sharp enough to cut. They married 3 weeks later in a palace by the Gulf. A falcon circled above as she signed her new life away. Guests cheered, but Lena's hand trembled holding the pen. She said yes, but her eyes flicked toward the guards. There were 10 of them, standing too still, eyes too empty. The air buzzed with heat and something else, watchfulness. That night, Amir kissed her forehead and whispered a prayer. The next morning, he was found dead in their marble bed. His eyes were open, mouth frozen mid-word. Lena screamed so loud it echoed off the stone walls. The servants came running, then stopped like they already knew. A doctor arrived with 2 men who did not speak. They took photos, asked no questions, and left within an hour. Lena stood barefoot on the cool tiles, her dress soaked in sweat. Amir's mother entered without knocking, eyes lined with cold and suspicion. "You have brought misfortune," she said, voice cold as the sea wind. Lena shook her head, her mouth dry, words buried deep. The body was gone before noon, as if it never existed. By sunset, the palace felt too large, too quiet, too hollow. The staff refused to meet her gaze, but whispered when she passed. That night, she found Amir's phone in his desk drawer. The screen lit up with one message, still unread. It was in English, short and strange. "The tiger bleeds from inside." Her fingers trembled as she read it again, slower. No sender, no number, just that one line. She locked the phone in the drawer, unsure why she kept it. Sleep would not come, so she walked the halls barefoot. The marble felt colder than before, like it remembered death. She passed a window and saw 2 figures in the courtyard. They were digging, slow and careful, under the moonlight. She ran downstairs, heart thudding like war drums. By the time she reached the spot, the dirt was smooth again. No tools, no prints, no trace of what she had seen. The next morning, a letter appeared on her breakfast tray. No envelope, no stamp, just folded paper and her name. Inside, in looping Arabic, were 5 words. "You are not the first bride." She dropped the note, backed away from the table. Something clattered to the floor. A spoon, she thought, until it moved. A lizard, small and green, scurried across the marble toward the shadows. She felt watched not by the staff, but by the walls themselves. Each portrait seemed to shift when she passed, eyes following. She went to Amir's study, desperate for answers or a weapon. There on the bookshelf was a photograph she had never seen. Amir stood beside another woman, one Lena did not recognize. The same wedding robes, the same palace, the same falcon above. The woman was smiling, but her eyes were haunted. On the back of the photo, scrawled in red ink, was a name. Noura. The ink had smeared, as if by wet fingers or tears. Lena searched the study, every drawer, every shelf. She found a key taped under the desk. It was small, gold, old, maybe a jewelry box or safe. She tried every lock in the room, but none clicked open. At midnight, she heard music drifting through the halls. A song she did not know, sung by a voice too soft to be real. She followed it barefoot, heartbeat matching the slow rhythm. It led her to a locked door she had never noticed. The key fit. The door creaked open, revealing a staircase spiraling down. The air smelled like damp earth and something metallic. She descended, each step a whisper of dread. At the bottom, a single bulb flickered above a wooden door. She hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside was a room lined with mirrors, all cracked at the corners. In the center stood a table covered in photographs. Brides, at least 8 of them, each one smiling beside a mirror. The dates below each photo were carved, not printed. They all ended with the same date, asterisk the day after their wedding asterisk. Lena stumbled back, the bile rising in her throat. The final photo had no date, only a blank space below. Her own face stared back at her from the glossy print. A sound echoed behind her, a footstep, slow and deliberate. She turned, but the door had closed on its own. Locked, in the reflection behind her, a figure appeared in the mirror. It was a mirror, but his skin was pale, and his mouth did not move. The flickering light made his eyes glow like coals in the dark. Lena screamed, but no sound escaped her lips. The mirrors began to fog, one by one, as if exhaling. A handprint appeared on the glass beside her own reflection. Not hers. Smaller, smeared like from a child. Then a whisper slid to the room, low and breathless. You married into a curse. Lena collapsed to her knees, hands over her ears. The room began to hum, deep and rising, like a swarm approaching. Then silence. Only her breath, ragged and alone. Above, the music started again, louder this time. She was not alone in the palace, and someone wanted her to stay married forever. Lena woke on the cold stone floor, her dress soaked in sweat. The light above her buzzed dim and yellow, like a dying firefly. She was still in the mirror room, alone, but not empty. The mirrors no longer fogged, but cracks now crossed every face. Each bride in the photographs had vanished except one, hers. She reached for the door handle, but it shocked her hand. A pulse, quick and hot, like a heartbeat trapped in metal. She backed away, the room too quiet, the silence almost sticky. Then, footsteps again, soft, slow, deliberate, above her. She pressed her ear to the ceiling, heard whispering voices. A man, a woman, maybe more, too muffled to understand. She screamed, loud and sharp, hoping someone would hear. No answer, only the soft hum of the palace breathing around her. She paced the room, searching every crack, every corner. Then she saw it, a seam in the wall behind a mirror. She pried it open with her fingernails, the stone cold and brittle. A hidden passage, narrow and dark, breathed stale air. She stepped inside, heart pounding like war drums in her chest. The tunnel curved left, then dipped steeply into shadow. She kept one hand on the wall, the other holding her breath. The air smelled of rust, incense, and something sweeter, decay. After 20 steps, she reached a gate of iron bars. Beyond it, candlelight flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. She called out, unsure what she hoped would answer. A whisper came, so soft she almost missed it. You should not be here. The voice was female, shaking, barely more than a breath. Lena dropped to her knees, eyes straining through the bars. There, huddled in the corner, was a girl no older than 15. Her wrists were bound, her eyes wide and hollow. She crawled closer, face pale, lips cracked from silence. Who are you? Lena asked, voice trembling with fear. The girl pointed upward, shaking her head violently. They watch, always watch through the walls. Lena reached the bars, but they were sealed shut. What is your name? The girl blinked slowly, then whispered, Nura? The name hit Lena like a slap in the dark. Nura, the woman from the photograph. Still alive, still imprisoned. Lena's skin crawled with ice as realization bloomed. Amir's past was not buried. It was hidden. The girl reached under her dress and held out a locket. Lena took it, fingers brushing the cold chain. Inside was a photo of Amir, younger, colder, unsmiling. Beside him stood Nura, eyes red from crying. Lena whispered, Why did he keep you here? The girl shook her head again, then rasped, He never let us leave. Us. Lena froze. How many? She whispered. Nura closed her eyes, tears trailing down her dirt-streaked face. 7 before me. I do not know how many after. Lena stood quickly, heart racing, eyes burning. She ran back through the tunnel, her hands scraping stone. The palace above was silent, too silent. When she emerged, morning light poured through the stained glass. But the halls were empty, the air heavy with perfume and dread. She sprinted to the main office, locked the door behind her. She opened Amir's drawer, grabbed the phone, unlocked it. She scrolled past the Tiger message, through dozens of encrypted files. One folder stood out, named with a single word, Legacy. She tapped it, holding her breath. Videos loaded, grainy footage, all indoors, all from the palace. Each clip began the same, Amir, seated, smiling, addressing the camera. This is for the ones who will understand. Lena watched, hand covering her mouth. The first video showed him speaking to a bride, calm, rehearsed, cold. She was never meant to survive the blood ritual. Next clip, another bride, screaming, tied to the bed. Fear cleanses the soul, Amir said, smiling into the lens. Clip after clip, screams, prayers, laughter, and always Amir, untouched by the horror. Lena dropped the phone, bile rising in her throat. Her vision blurred as rage mixed with horror. She now understood why no one asked questions, why no one knocked on her door. They were used to silence, used to death. She fled the study, sprinted to the garden gates. The guards stood still, eyes vacant, like statues carved from fear. She screamed for help, for anyone, but they did not move. Instead, one reached into his coat and handed her a card. Plain, white, with only an address in Morocco. No name, no title, no explanation. Behind her, the palace door slammed shut. She turned, no wind, no one there. Lena ran to her room, packed only what she could carry. The locket, the phone, the card. Before she left, she turned back one last time. The falcon circled above again, slower now, watching. She took the back path through the garden, boots sinking into damp soil. She climbed the outer wall, scraping her arms on ancient stone. Freedom tasted like blood and dust in her mouth. She found a car parked by the service road, engine still warm. She drove until the palace disappeared behind the sand and heat. By nightfall, she reached the city. No one followed, but she still felt watched. She checked into a cheap hotel near the souk, using a fake name. In the bathroom mirror, she barely recognized herself. Sweat streaked with dirt, eyes rimmed with red. She opened the phone again, scanned for any clue, any thread. The Tiger message still burned at the top. She zoomed in on the text, desperate. Something shimmered, a watermark behind the words. Coordinates. She entered them into her phone. They pointed to a small village near Marrakesh, not far from the address on the card. She booked a ticket for the morning, heart thundering again. As she lay in bed, lights off, the locket heavy on her chest, she heard it again. Music, faint, familiar, drifting to the window like smoke. The same melody from the mirror room. She opened the curtain. No one was there, only a shadow moving across the rooftop opposite, and a whisper in the dark. You left the palace, but the palace did not leave you. The bus rattled through the desert, heat rising off the cracked road. Lena clutched the locket, fingers numb despite the sweat. She had not slept, not really, not since the mirror room. The coordinates pulsed on her phone like a countdown. Outside, the sand stretched endless, broken only by thorny shrubs. Her seatmate snored softly, the scent of mint tea on his breath. She stared out the window, heart thudding in her ears. The mountains loomed ahead, sharp and ancient, like sleeping beasts. When the bus stopped, the driver pointed down a dirt path. "You walk now," he said, eyes not meeting hers. She stepped into the heat, dust clinging to her skin like ash. The village was barely there, 6 houses, a well, silence. Children stared from behind doors, wide-eyed and silent. She found the house from the card, blue door, cracked stone walls. She knocked once, twice, then a voice answered in French. Coming quickly, no shoes. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and rosewater. A woman waited, veiled, skin like copper, eyes sharp. "You were expected," she said, voice calm but dry as sand. Lena sat, unsure what to say, throat tight. The woman lit incense, the smell sweet but burning. She held out her hand, palm open, waiting. Lena placed a locket in it, then the phone. The woman examined both, nodding once. "Did you dream last night?" she asked. Lena blinked, then whispered. The music again, a shadow watching me. The woman leaned closer, voice low. "That is not a dream. It is a mark." Lena's stomach turned as the woman touched her wrist. "There," she said, pointing at a faint symbol under the skin. A crescent shape, small, nearly invisible, like a scar. "Amir marked you. You are part of the right now." Lena backed away, breath shallow, skin crawling. "What right? What does this mean?" The woman rose, stepped behind a curtain, returned with a dusty book. She opened it, revealing old sketches, figures in white, bound in silk. Men in robes stood over them, knives raised, eyes empty. This is older than him, older than his wealth. It feeds a legacy. Lena shook her head, voice cracking. "He is dead. I saw him. I touched his face." The woman did not blink. Death is not an escape for his kind, only transformation. The room darkened suddenly, the shadows stretching long across the floor. Something creaked upstairs. The woman froze, then grabbed Lena's arm. "You must leave. Now. They are coming." "Who?" Lena shouted, already running toward the door. "The ones who serve him still." Outside, the village was silent again, too silent. No birds, no wind, no laughter from the houses. Then she saw them. 3 men in white, walking slowly from the dunes. Their faces hidden, hands gloved, movements too smooth. Lena ran. Her feet burned against the sand, lungs on fire. She cut through alleyways, climbed a stone wall, dropped hard. Her ankle twisted, pain shooting up her leg. She kept running. Behind her, the men did not chase. They followed, like they knew she would wear out before them. She found a bike leaning against a post. The tires cracked. It still rolled. She pedaled until the village vanished behind the dust. Miles passed in silence. Then a sign appeared, Marrakesh, 10 kilometers. She ditched the bike near the city gates, limped into the noise. The streets were alive with horns, smoke, shouting vendors. She blended in, head low, scarf tied around her face. She bought a new phone with cash, tossed the old one in a gutter. It rang as it hit the ground. A voice crackled through the shattered screen. "You cannot leave a house that is inside you." Lena froze, stomach tightening, breath caught. The vendor stared, then silently handed her a receipt. She found a hostel near the train station, locked the door 3 times. That night, she scanned the new phone for hidden apps. Nothing. Then she checked the old SIM in a converter. One message downloaded, just a photo, a mirror, smiling again, but this time seated beside Noura. Except she was older now, her eyes lifeless. The background was recent, the same blue door in the village. Lena's hand shook. The woman had lied. Noura had not escaped. She had become something else, a part of it. The phone buzzed again, a new number. Another photo, this time of Lena outside the hostel. She ran to the window, but the street was empty. No footsteps, no sound, just a dog barking in the distance. She turned off the lights, curled on the floor, knife in hand. She dreamed again. This time she was back in the palace, walking barefoot through the hall. The mirrors whispered her name. Each one cracked as she passed, bleeding black liquid. She reached the throne room, except it was not a room anymore. It was a pit. Amir stood at the edge, arms open, face half gone. "Come home," he said, voice soaked in honey and rot. She stepped forward, then fell. Lena woke screaming, drenched in sweat, knife still clutched. She ran to the mirror. The crescent on her wrist was darker now, almost glowing. She had hours, maybe less. She dressed quickly, grabbed the card with the village address. On the back, she noticed something she had missed. A second line etched in faint ink. Final door opens with your blood. She knew where she had to go. Back to the palace. Back to the room behind the mirrors, where truth waited like a blade under silk. The palace gates were open when she arrived. No guards, no torches, just wind and the smell of burning jasmine. Lena stepped through slowly, heart pounding with each footfall. The gravel crunched beneath her boots like cracking bones. The front doors swung open before she touched them. Inside, the silence roared. Curtains hung heavy, unmoving, thick with dust and perfume. She followed the hallway back to the mirror room. Each step echoed like footsteps behind her. She did not look back. The room was just as she left it. Almost. The mirrors were whole again, not cracked. But they moved, not reflections, shadows pacing behind the glass. She stood at the center, holding her breath. Then she pulled the locket from her neck, pressed the edge to her palm, and sliced the skin. Blood welled, bright and fast, and dripped onto the floor. The mirrors pulsed. A low hum filled the room, deep and vibrating. One mirror shifted, sliding aside like a door. Behind it, a staircase curved downward into red light. She descended slowly, the walls moist, the air wet and warm. It smelled of incense, iron, and something sweet and sour. Below, a chamber opened, circular, candlelit, and full of silence. 7 robes hung on hooks, 7 masks beside them. In the center stood a stone altar, blackened with old blood. On it, a book, bound in cracked leather, stitched with gold thread. She opened it. Inside were names, dates, symbols she could not read. At the end, a new name had been added. Hers. She staggered back, blood dripping onto the page. The candlelight flickered. Then the door slammed shut behind her. A voice spoke from the shadows. Low, velvety, familiar. You returned. That was your first mistake. Lena spun around, heart ready to tear free from her chest. Amir stood in the far corner, hands behind his back. Not a ghost, not a memory. Alive, breathing, smiling. His eyes glowed faintly, like coals left too long in fire. You died, she whispered. You watched me die. He stepped forward, shoes silent on the stone. I changed. That is all. The body was never the man. She raised her knife, shaking. You marked me. You took her. You lied. He chuckled. Low, cruel. Nura chose. As you will. The house does not take. It calls. From behind him, figures stepped forward, one by one. 7 of them. All women. Eyes blank. Faces calm. Dressed in white, barefoot, unmoving. Nura was among them. Older now, but glowing with something deeper than life. They surrounded the altar, hands joined. Amir looked at Lena and nodded once. This is your inheritance. The line cannot break. Lena backed away, blade raised, tears streaking her cheeks. I did not ask for this. He smiled again. You married me. That was a vow. The women began to chant. Low, steady, words she could not understand. But they filled her skull, squeezed her chest. The walls shimmered. Mirrors formed around the room, floor to ceiling. Each one showed a version of her. Bleeding, screaming, smiling, dead, alive. Lena dropped to her knees, mind breaking under the weight. The chanting grew louder, then stopped. Suddenly, utter silence. Amir knelt in front of her, eyes inches from hers. You can end it, but only by becoming it. He handed her the knife. Her knife, still warm with her own blood. The book snapped shut on the altar. Her name glowed red on the cover. She looked up at the women. They watched, waiting, breathing. Lena stood slowly, swaying. Then she stepped toward the altar. Each footfall shook the ground. Her hand hovered over the book. She turned to a mirror, voice low and cold. "Where does this end?" He tilted his head. "It does not. That is the beauty." She raised a knife. He did not flinch. The women did not blink. Lena screamed and drove the blade into the altar. The stone cracked. The mirrors shattered all at once. Light exploded from the book, white, searing, alive. Amir vanished. The women fell like puppets with cut strings. Then, silence. True silence. She stood alone in the broken chamber, blood on her dress. The book was gone. Only the locket remained, glowing softly in the dark. She picked it up. Inside, the photo had changed. It showed her, sitting on the throne, eyes hollow, smiling. Lena stumbled back upstairs, past the broken mirrors, out the main hall, into the garden. The falcon circled again above her. Lower now, watching. She left the palace as the sun rose. Alone, but not untouched, not free. In the city, she checked into a small hotel with no cameras. She tried to sleep, but dreams came, dark, warm, full of singing. When she woke, her wrist burned. The crescent was gone. In its place, a full circle. Inside it, a small symbol she had seen once in the book. A door, half open. Someone knocked on her hotel door at midnight, 3 times. Slow, even. She did not answer. But the knock came again the next night, and the next. By the 4th night, she stopped being afraid. By the 5th, she opened the door and whispered, "I am ready." But the hallway was empty, only the sound of wings above, and the faint music of the mirror room, calling her home again.